Ms. Scahill, your response.
Well, I mean, you always have to take these kinds of declarations with a grain of salt. I mean, there's incredible propaganda, and I don't have any evidence to suggest that that what that man is saying is true. But I will say this, that the Pakistani intelligence services have long had a reputation for using proxy forces to carry out actions that ultimately are sanctioned by Pakistan's intelligence agencies. So there certainly is a history in Pakistan of false flag operations, but I don't have any actual information or intelligence on the claims of the Taliban, but certainly people that have closely monitored and followed Pakistani politics, particularly the history of the ISI and other organizations, they are regularly involved with unsavory organizations that I think are classified by many individuals as terrorist organizations. So what we're seeing in Pakistan right now is certainly a situation where the Pakistani intelligence services are playing multiple sides of the equation, and I think that it would be very difficult to rule out Pakistani intelligence from much of anything in Pakistan these days.
Jeremy Scahill, talk about who Blackwater is working for or working with in Pakistan. Again, of course, Pakistan, a country the United States has not declared war on.
Right. Well, one interesting thing that happened in the course of this story is that I talked to a former Blackwater executive that is familiar with Blackwater's operations in the region, and when I asked him to confirm for me what the military intelligence source had said, namely that the Blackwater guys are not doing the actual killing in Pakistan, he told me, quote, that's not entirely accurate, and then proceeded to tell me about an arrangement that Blackwater had made with a Pakistani company called Kestrel that is headed by a man named Ali Beg. And the Blackwater executive told me that Eric Prince, the owner of Blackwater, is close with the owner of this Pakistani firm that is sort of like a Blackwater and logistical firm wrapped up into one. This is a company that works for Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and the Pakistani government and does a very robust business in war contracting and servicing the war in Afghanistan as well. And my understanding is that Blackwater is working for this company on a subcontract in a configuration that has Blackwater operatives going out as technically as advisors with these paramilitary style forces from this company, and that they are doing, as you said in the intro, border interdictions in the northwest frontier province and elsewhere. And the former Blackwater executive told me that the line often gets blurred and that you do have Blackwater guys and other Westerners that actually participate in operations that are then portrayed in the international media as Pakistani forces carrying them out. And the agency that Blackwater forces are supporting is a federal paramilitary force in Pakistan that's under the Ministry of the Interior there called the Frontier Corps. The military intelligence official confirmed the Blackwater executive's account, or at least the specific allegation that Blackwater is working with the Frontier Corps. And the benefit of this, in the words of the former Blackwater executive, is that it allows the Pakistani government to say, we're not using any Western forces to do these things, because the technicality is that they are subcontracted by a Pakistani firm that is working with official Pakistani forces.
The lobbyist for Kestrel, you report?
I'm sorry, Amy, I didn't hear you.
The lobbyist for Kestrel, you report, the assistant for...
Yeah, you've actually done shows on this individual. He's sort of a famed neocon and former Assistant Secretary of State for Western Hemisphere Affairs, Roger Noriega, who is well known to Democracy Now! Listeners. In October, Roger Noriega was hired as a lobbyist by this Pakistani company. They paid his firm, Vision Americas, $15,000. They paid another firm that appears to be little more than an affiliate of Roger Noriega's firm called Fire Creek Limited, an equal amount of money to lobby the State Department, USAID, the Congress on defense and foreign policy issues, and on services that Kestrel could provide that are of interest to the U.S. government. Another player at Roger Noriega's firm, Vision Americas, is Christina Roca, who for years during the Bush administration was one of the top people shaping Pakistan and Afghanistan policy. She's a former CIA operations official. So this company has hired some pretty powerhouse figures that have a long history, in the case of Christina Roca's affiliation with Vision Americas, with Pakistan directly. So it all sort of leads toward this continued neoconservative view of U.S. foreign policy, and they picked some of the top people in that world to become their K Street lobbyists.
Jeremy Scahill, explain who is behind the drone attacks in Pakistan, who has been killed, and talk about legality here.
Right. Well, when the CIA, of course, has been running a drone campaign in Pakistan going back years into the Bush administration. When President Obama took office, on January 23rd, he ordered his first drone strike inside of Pakistan. There were 2 strikes in North and South Waziristan, and has bombed Pakistan regularly ever since. In fact, Vice President Joe Biden, part of his strategy, reportedly is calling for an escalation of these drone strikes. This has caused some controversy because there have been large numbers of civilian deaths as a result of these bombings. But technically, the operations of the CIA need to be reported to Senator Dianne Feinstein and others on the Intelligence Committee. And there was a controversy this summer because Leon Panetta ran up to the Hill and said that he had canceled the CIA assassination program, and that sort of put drones in an intense focus on the Hill. What I am told now, though, is that there is actually, and has been for some time, a parallel drone strike program that is being run by the Joint Special Operations Command, and that these JSOC drone strikes are sometimes done with very little regard for how many civilians may die in the pursuit of one quote-unquote bad guy. In fact, my military intelligence source said to me, if there's one guy that we're trying to hit and there are 34 other people in the building, 35 people are going to die that day. And he said that part of the reason why these strikes are happening is because JSOC works on a classified mandate, and they really don't care because they're not going to go to the Hill and talk to Congress about it, and they're not going to face any consequences. And it's an open secret that no one wants to talk about.
Jeremy, you say that Blackwater employees may be posing as USAID workers? I
said that they may be posting as aid workers. I didn't specify any organization. I think that we have a situation right now in Pakistan where it is very dangerous for people that actually are there to aid in humanitarian projects, and this has long been a history. When you have non-civilian forces that pose in any way as aid workers of any kind, I think you create a very dangerous situation for the very well-meaning individuals that go to very difficult and dangerous countries in an effort to help local populations that are suffering tremendously as a result of war and poverty. And my understanding from the military intelligence sources that Blackwater personnel have at times posed as aid workers.
Word is that President Obama is now going to be announcing the expansion of war in Afghanistan, over 30,000 U.S. troops. Can you put this all, your expose, in a broader context?
Well, I mean, of course, you have, right now, you have the top 2 figures prosecuting the Afghan war from the military side are both from the Joint Special Operations Command, and I think that what we're seeing is essentially an incredible rise of the power of JSOC within the official military command structure. I think what we're seeing is the beginning of what is going to be a much more dramatic escalation of forces in Afghanistan, because my understanding is that as part of the President's plan that he's authorizing, there's essentially going to be an equal number of contractors that are deployed along those 30,000 or so troops that we now understand the President's going to be announcing. But of great concern, I think, to everyone in that region is that Pakistan is increasingly, the war in Afghanistan is increasingly bleeding over into Pakistan. And now with the revelation that the U.S. has actual covert operations there, these operations could be viewed, in the words of my military intelligence source, as a lily pad, a jump-off point. He called it the Jamestown of the new millennium in Pakistan, and predicted that there's going to be more intense involvement of the U.S. military within the borders of a country that we have not declared war against.
Jeremy Scahill, I want to thank you for being with us.